this is it. This meeting is just, in this meeting, the message is, this is it. It's very simple. For a lot of people, it's too simple because you can't work it out. You can't make something of it. It's just describing that this is it. Doesn't mean anything, doesn't go anywhere. So that's a strange thing for meetings, that it doesn't go anywhere, doesn't mean anything, it's not important. You cannot, if you are not going to the meeting, you don't miss anything because that's what's happening, is it? So it doesn't matter where it is or what it is. It doesn't have anything to do with something going on, an event or a feeling or a state of something. It is everything. This message is saying this is just, it's everything. So nothing is excluded. So this is not about a story, what most of the time is a story about success and failure. There isn't success and there isn't failure. That's only in the story, it's called like that. But it's just what's happening, it's very neutral. And when there's someone, it feels like there's someone and I'm here and I'm living my life and with my thoughts and my free will and I'm gonna make a success of it, or I try. And then there's always something to reach, something to do, because when there's someone, the strange thing is that there's always somewhere a feeling of it's not good enough. There's something missing. I have to fix what's going on. There's something not right yet. And it's so convincing that it's not even questions. Most of the time, most people don't even question that there's something wrong and we have to fix it or we have to do something about it. And a lot of people are trying to fix it and to have more power, more money, better jobs. Or some people are into the personal thing, like much better behavior or more relaxed, things like that, or more natural. And then some people are coming to the non-duality meetings, and most of the time there's still something going on. I don't have that. I don't have that what this speaker is talking about. Oh, it's still different, because we're always into comparing and trying to see what's the difference, or asking questions about what's going on over there. So you can see maybe there's something maybe more clear or some clues that make it happen for you, because there's such a huge feeling of there's something wrong or something not right yet. It can be very subtle or more strong. And when there's asking questions here, nothing is ever answered, in that sense that there are no, direction. There's no direction. There's nothing wrong with what's going on. So there are no answers. So this is a strange meeting in that sense, that there's nothing on offer. There's no agenda, like trying to make things clear to somebody. There's not seen that there is somebody. It's not even that only here there's nobody. There's never been a me ever. So there's already no me. So nothing to reach. It can be another goal that there is going to reach, that finally the me is not there anymore. There is already no me. So when there's still a thinking or a feeling like there's something wrong, it's just a feeling of there's something wrong. Sometimes there's talking in the story and a little bit explaining about how me works and how that happens. In the same time, it's saying it's just what's happening. So it can't be wrong. So can sometimes be a paradox, or it can sometimes be confusing, that it's talking in the story and then there's talking also outside the story or not in the story. It's not about the words. The words can clarify or can make things more more clear. But it's something underneath in the energy of the meeting that's more what's going on here. And you can't grasp it. You can't say what it is. I can't. So there's something going on, and that's energetic, I would say. We can talk about it. We can talk about anything. It doesn't matter. If there's talking about things happening in the story, please talk about that, or whatever questions. There are no wrong questions. So say what you want to say, or we have a chat, or how it goes. We will see. And you can unmute yourself because the group is not that big, so you don't have to wait for that there's somebody saying, okay, this is, you can just unmute yourself and start talking.
Hi, Rose.
Hello, hello.
I'm just noticing how there is, you know, when I'm signing into these meetings, you know, that's when there seems to be some sort of a distance from the me. But, you know, so it's like somehow energetically there's a reminder that the me isn't everything. Like there's, I don't know, I guess it's just what's happening. But it seems, yeah, with these meetings or, you know, listening to YouTube,
Yeah.
that's when, so it's like a reprieve, or it's like a break from the me by, you know, something, there's an urge to log into these. And then it's like, yeah, there's a distance from the me that happens, you know? Yeah. Which often isn't there. If there isn't an urge to listen to these, then it's like, and not that anything's wrong or right. I guess that's where my thought goes, is like, you know, oh, being sucked into the me is bad because it's painful, right? Or it can be painful. And then when there's a distance, then it's like, there's a, you know, a relaxation, or like a not taking this me story so seriously, you know?
But what do you mean by distant? There's a distance?
Yeah. I guess from the me story, there's somehow there's like a, somehow there's a seeing that it's a story. But when it's not seen as a story, it's very painful because it's being felt as so real and uncomfortable and painful. Like, oh, these people are really against me, and you know, these stories of work and my colleagues and not trusting them, and it's like feels real.
You know,
rather than it's just thought doing its thing. And you know, I guess, right?
Yeah, but that's also a concept. When there's someone going on, and it's painful when things are happening, and there's trying to do things, and maybe there's something going on, like, oh, there's a clarity about, oh, it's just a story. So you'd say to yourself, oh, don't bother, it's just a story and it's not really happening, or maybe something like that. But that's talking to yourself makes it more comfortable or less painful. That's the normal way of how me or how that system is trying to deal with things. This is not
Right.
talking about a distance.
Right.
The strange, the in a way, the awful thing is that when there's no me, there's never a distance. So there is no
Right.
distance. It's full on, and it doesn't mean that it's always very alive or things like that, but it's full on, and there's no escape. There's nothing going on like trying to escape. Maybe you want to, but there's no thoughts about how or something like that. That whole system or that whole trying to make it more comfortable for yourself or something like that, that means it's just not there. It's just lost. So the loss is also pain full on. So it doesn't
Right.
mean that it's less painful or that because the story is seen, there's not so much pain anymore. It can be, and it can be pain from, I don't know where it comes from. It can suddenly be there, or it seems like it's because of events like other persons or like in your job or things like that. But pain can arise does arise without reason. But we're
Yeah.
so into linking it to situations that it seems like, oh, it's because of that, and what can I do about it, or something. Something is going on like that, and everybody has a different way of dealing with it.
Right.
And what falls away is that you can deal with it. So there's just what's happening, and there's nobody going on. There's nothing going on. But how can I deal with it? So that's lost. So
Right.
most people don't want that because that gives a little bit of more comfort or less painful or things like that. But it's full on, and it's just, yeah, what's happening?
Right. Right.
That's the loss. That's the loss.
Right. 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 So all of it is a story. I mean, just about everything is a story.
Yeah, trying to deal with it is also a story, of course, and it's a story, it's a concept, but it's not wrong because it's just what's happening. Also, the words and what's going on in the mind and things like that. It's just what's happening. But saying to yourself, "Oh, it's just what's happening," it's just a concept. Because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's a way of dealing with the situations or the feelings that are not so comfortable.
Right.
And this is about something else. So it's not about clarity or things knowing or something like that. This is about loss. And when the whole thing is going on that people don't like you and they do something about you, that or things like that, that can happen, and it can be painful or sad or things like that. Then that's what's happening. And that's not that you say it to yourself, but there can be sadness or something else.
Right.
In that sense, nothing is changing, but the whole thing that tries to deal with everything and try to make it work or trying to make it more comfortable, that's just gone. Sometimes I wish that there's something, when there's a lot of pain or sadness, there comes sometimes like, oh, what can I do? But it's just no answer. So it's just like that. So there's just that pain. And the funny thing is, it's just when there's just pain and there's no fight or there's nothing going trying to change it or so, it's different. That's also strange. That's just different. It's just pain and it's not there in the same time. It's strange. And it's just pain. And there's something going on like, I don't want it. No, not really. Maybe you don't say I don't want it, but there's some things going on like that. Then pain, it's always like pain is something I don't like. I wouldn't say that. That's strange to hear, maybe. It's not from, oh, it's okay, pain and that kind of thing. No, it can be very strong and painful, but there's nothing going on like I don't want it or I don't like it or no.
Right.
Yeah. It's just pain. It's a sensation. We have what painful is also of, that's more the suffering, is the story with it. Because then when there's pain, it's because of, oh, she was so mean to me, and then it's something else. But just pain is just pain. The story makes it sometimes, it seems like the story is more the suffering. In the story, it's the suffering. There's no
Right.
suffering here.
So there's nothing to do with anything that comes up. It's just everything is simply arising. So even the wish to do something to make me happier or to make me, just like, there's nothing to do.
It can happen. Like it's just like the weather. You want to have sunshine or something like, or rain. You can't do anything. It's just like that. It's the same. It's the same. And we are so convinced that we can do something about it when what's going on. And because we are here, we want to feel good or comfortable or things like that. Life isn't interested in that. It's just energetic. And we are so convinced that we can do something about it and that our thoughts help to make it happen. Thoughts are just thoughts. They don't have any power. It's just thoughting. But we are so convinced. And then when that's so embodied, it's from a little child till now, then it's so embodied, that whole thing about free will and choice and your life and your thoughts and feelings. So that's so convincing. It seems like you experience it, so it confirms also. So, and then somebody is saying, no, there's no one, so there's no control. What? Yeah.
So thoughts are just thoughting. You're saying they're just. There's no good ones. There's no bad ones. They're just appearing, and you're saying they have no power, but it seems as though they do. It seems as though if I'm thinking negatively about a coworker, it seems I'm different with her because of the thoughts that seem to be happening about her. I'm like, I don't trust you because of these thoughts that are generated.
Yeah. It seems like that, but we relate everything to each. How do you say that? We relate everything, so we think we adjust a little story with it. So there's a certain way of behaving to someone, and on top of it, there's like, oh, the whole story, but that's always on top of it. But we are so used to that. It's not even noticed that it's adjusted. It's on top of it. So, but that's gone. When that's gone, it's just like, oh, it's just a sensation or maybe a behaving in a certain way. I don't know why, but it's an energetic. When there's being with another person like that, there's also no one there, of course, but there's an energetic thing can be between people. So that's what's going on. And we think we can manage that, or it's because of me, or it's because of that, or we think we know. That's our comfort in a way, that knowing like why it happens like that, because then we can make it happen in a different way or have control sometimes. And this message is about, oh, no, there's no control. There's just what's happening. And there can be an energetic, like somebody's really not nice to you and you say something, or you don't say anything. And it's just like, you think, oh, I should have said something. That going on. But that's just arising. There's no time. So there's also no, before that I did that and now I do that, or she said that, and because of that, I do that. There's no time. Time is also, from people, we invent time. So when there's no time, there's also no before and after. This message is crazy because it's throws out the window everything we were so normal, like time. Yeah, okay, time, maybe yesterday I can imagine. But when there's no time, there's no before and after. There's no relations, there's no consequences. That's something. God, it seems so normal. But
right.
is it so? So it's not saying you have to believe this or something, no. But it's like, oh, it's shaking some beliefs that really are like, oh, it's just normal. And then suddenly like, oh, maybe not. Something like that.
I know it seems crazy. Like, I mean, this message really is kind of insane. If you try and talk with people or whatever, I guess there is no people, but when there's sharing anything about this message, people think you're nuts, you know?
Yeah, sure.
Like, what do you mean there's nobody? Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. And no free will. Look, of course there's free will. Yeah. Okay, I can prove it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No discussion. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess you're saying there's something, well, there's a resonance with this message, but that's not me. That you're saying that's not me. There's just energetically a resonance with this message.
Yeah.
And then at times
sorry. Go on.
And then at times there isn't a resonance because there's a living in the apparent me, right?
And it's not living in the me seems to be something like solid or something, but that me where we're talking about, it's for the convenience that we say me, well, it's just the feeling or the belief or the embodied belief that there's something wrong, and that whole survival system comes with that, and that seems to be an energetic thing, and it can be very strong and convincing, but that can fall away because it's just a belief, and beliefs can fall away, and it's a misunderstanding, but it can be so embodied and so normal and not questioned, not noticed, and then suddenly it's shaken.
Wrong? That there's nothing wrong.
Yeah, it's there when they're saying there's nothing wrong. Everybody knows. No, not everybody, but a lot of people say no, there's no good and bad and blah, 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 blah. But still, there's something going on. Like, but this has to change, or this maybe it's not bad, but it's like, we call it all things. But it's always about good and bad. It's not wrong and right, something like that, or it's not natural. Then people say, or they give it other words, but it's still there needs to be done something.
Right.
That's the me thing. That's me. That whole thing. There's not a person here and that has to vanish or things like that. No, it's more energetic. All those, and in the same time, there's nothing going on, of course. So there's talking in the story to explain this, but in the same time, it's just a story. That's also strange. We're so into that story and working out and trying to understand and do things. This is also talking in the story because that's just also what apparently is happening. And in the same time, there's nothing. Nothing happens. It's only an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to hear it, or it doesn't matter, but sometimes it's coming like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, Rose.
Hello.
Hi. So there's no true stories then? No true stories, or
no? Only in the story you could say there's truth, but
yeah. So if there's no true stories, there's no truer stories. You can't, that's that like, yeah, that, you know what I mean? There's no truer, no truer stories.
Truer?
Truer.
Truer. Oh,
yeah,
truer.
yeah.
No.
No.
In the story, it's always about this is better, that's more true, or things like that. Yeah, that's how it goes.
So if there's no truer stories, there's no real lies as well. Is that so? There's no real lies?
Yeah, but it's when there's a story, there can be lying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's in the story. Yeah.
Okay. But we, in everyday life, in lots of professions, you try to gather evidence for something and research something and find, you may not be saying, I'm going to find the truth, but I'm going to find the most true thing I could find about these circumstances. Or like if it's a criminal trial and there's a jury and they'll look through the evidence and scientists trying to looking through research.
Yeah.
And they may say it's not the ultimate truth, but it's more true than the previous story.
Yeah.
So is this all? It's all just
it's a search.
Yeah.
It's a search. The search is in everything. It can be in criminal looking for the truth, but it's the same as in personal growing or something like that. It's always the search for something missing, and there was some bad, and now we have to make it right or to fix it or things like that. The story is always about that, and in different forms. So that seems very. When you're into that, you are really can be dedicated to that. But it's the same story as people who are looking for the true nature, or something like that. That's the same. It's the search.
So, right. I'm sorry, I'm a bit confused because the phone rang and somebody's leaving a message. I'm hoping to stop soon.
And you didn't listen.
I didn't listen, not properly.
Cool.
I did. Okay, but it's put me off track. So
okay.
Can you give me one second just to turn the thing off, please?
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. So, yes, I think you're right. I didn't properly listen.
But it was a joke. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah. So are all these activities or seeming activities that go on in everyday life, are they all pointless?
Yeah, of course.
So an attempt to find the truest story about anything.
Yeah. It's about the truth, or it's about the true nature, or if it's about, it can be anything, about saving the world. Yeah.
So because of that, or I don't know to say because of that, you're not someone with this message or open to this message, they can't get that excited about the story about the coming so-called end of the world, from global warming, or if there was they just say, well, they just watch people getting depressed or getting very active or angry about it, but you don't feel the same. You just think, well, that's what they're doing. This is everybody's getting excited.
But it's not. No, there sometimes can be like anger, like how can people do things like that? That can happen. Well, it's more that there's not seen a world. There's no world.
No, I know.
Where's the world?
Yeah.
And then it's not only that, but everything is also apparent. It's an apparent world. And there's also no world, there's only this. So where's the world? There's no outside. And there still can be like, oh, it's pollution, and how can people do that? And then it's gone. Nothing more than that. Yeah.
So I mean, there's jobs, professions like being a journalist or a reporter on a newspaper, and you're trying to get the true story, or maybe there's a story going around that something had happened and everybody believes that, and then you find the more true story.
Yeah.
So is that all?
But it's about you, huh? It's always about you, because then you're discovering something, so you're such something special. That's also something about that.
Okay, but if it seems there are reporters who will find out a real, there's a story that that people think is true, and then they find, there's something that it wasn't true. Well, that's a discovery, or is that not even a discovery? That's just another. It's just a replacing.
It's another story.
It's replacing a story with another story.
Yeah.
Right.
And I did find it.
Yeah, I
something like that. Something like that too. But yeah, sure, it's a story.
But isn't that a story? You saying that the reason that they're doing that is to boost themselves and to be a big shot?
No, it doesn't have to be like that. It can also be there's something that can be like that, but there's also can be there a huge feeling of there is seeing that there's something not right. And that we have to, and then we have to discover what is it. But that's can be in anything. So that can be also a journalist doing that. It's discovering what is the real, that there's something wrong. There's something wrong with what I'm seeing. I feel it, and then you can discover it. But then you discover it, and then that's it. And then it's gone. And then you have to do the same thing again and again and again. Because that's the story, finding.
Yeah, but you're implying that the activity of trying to find this more true story there's no worth to it. It's pointless.
It's pointless, yeah.
So like sometimes in everyday life that people think about a certain person and that what a wonderful person. He did so many good things, and then a journalist will find out that all those good things were the opposite. It was a really terrible thing. It was a terrible person, and it was all public relations and
yeah. So what?
So what?
Yeah. Maybe there's a feeling because you know him or it's your friend or something, and there can be a feeling. Then there's that feeling.
Actually, the reason I mentioned this particular point is that I'm reading a book at the moment which talks about President Kennedy, and everybody thought he was the American president, and what a great person he was. And this is saying some of the things that were actually really
but there's no one. So there's no President Kennedy. There's just that figure. We put a lot of things on him, and we think he's like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just assumptions. We think there's someone going with a character and things he done, and what do you know? There's no one. So it's just filled in. It's just a story. And then there's another story about he was good. Oh, now the story he's not good. Yeah, so.
So truth and lies are the same. They're just different types of stories. The truth.
Yeah, they're just stories.
Yeah.
It's part of the story. It's not about, there are no lies or truth. There's just what's happening. And truth and lies, it's a story about what's going on, and it's because of this and what they should do and it's a whole story with that. There's just what's happening. So that's neutral. That's not true or not true, or it's just what's happening.
So
and we can have a discussion about, oh, but it didn't happen. No, that had happened. Ah, yeah, then there's a discussion, or you can't discuss this. It's too simple.
So if you come upon this message when your whole life is about finding, you know, evidence and the truth, or being a scientist, or anything that where you're looking for the more true story, how would you carry on? Maybe you would give up your
maybe you wouldn't, or maybe you would, because can be a passion for something just for no reason. There can be like that, or not. I don't know. It's so different.
Right. But it wouldn't be a passion to find the truth. It would be a passion for what would it be a passion?
I don't know the truth now.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what's going on. It's so different for everybody. But finding the truth, and suddenly it stops and like, oh, truth. What is truth?
Right.
That's just a story. Oh, wow. Oh, it's much more simple. So what to look for? You can't look for something anymore. It's just not happening. It's not that you say to yourself, oh, I don't do it anymore. It's just not going. So there's something else. It will be something else. I don't know what happened. Can be that my life was like having those abilities that when I was in meetings and I saw people ask questions, and whoa, I saw what's going on and giving answers, and that fell away. So that whole life, you could say, that profession, that fell away. It can happen like that, but it doesn't have to be that dramatic. It can be very soft and not noticed. If you're a farmer or things like that, not so much going on.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hello. I want to talk about the same question the person before me talked about. Yesterday, I was with friends and we were talking about the Taliban in Afghanistan and the little girls. So, and I read the paper that there are many countries where girls may be sold to old men, little girls. So I'm surprised that if it's only energy and life, that statistically, it's more often negative energy than but you said that it's not negative, it's just energy, like was it's just energy. So there's no world. If there's no world, when I'm thinking now about that, just the conversation, now I'm thinking that I'm surprised that energy now in my body, in myself, is more difficult. And if it's difficult, it's because of my thinking. Or the energy could be difficult, or there could be pain, and all. Wow. It could be, there's no time you said, but it could be all the time. I don't know. So I'm thinking, I was a psychologist, So I used to solve problems, to help people to be happy. And I'm so conditioned to do that.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah. So life, energy is not good or bad, you said. So sometimes I feel strongly that it's like that because I have a big pain. Whoops, there's a pain, very painful, and in the same time, it's not real. I feel that.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah. So life could be like that, and there's no point to life. There's no point to life.
No, and there's so many stories, and then when there's stories about people, how people behave, and to young women or Afghanistan, but they're just stories. We talk about that, and we think it's real. It's really happening. It's just talking about that, and then now we have a lot of opinions, and we so convinced that everything is real, really happening, and talking about it. And also about negative thoughts or about negativity, it seems like because we call negativity, it's like, no, there's something wrong, and hey, you can't do that to girls or something like that. But the feeling in the body or the feeling has nothing to do with that. There can be feelings, but it's not because of the thinking over there, of the thinking before. In the story, like before there was thinking in those and talking in those stories, and then there's maybe that feeling like there's something, or I don't know, you can't even call it, know it what it is. And there seems to be a relation. That's how we are used to do things, that we make a relation. Oh, it's because of that, and so you can have a tool to make it better, or maybe not doing that anymore, or things like that. Because that's what we think we need, that we have to make with our free will, we can make something work and we can feel better, because it's always about not feeling relaxed or happy or comfortable. That's the good thing. And when it's not like that, it's a bit like grumpy or things like that, then there's coming up like, oh, there's something gone wrong, and then it seems like we have to solve it. There's nothing gone wrong. There's just that feeling, and it can be like, and most of the time there's a story with that. It's because of that, or it's because he did that to me, and that the story is most of the time the story is the suffering, because then it's happened to me, and it was awful, because then the whole story.
Yes,
it's the pain. It's just the pain, and it can be very painful or sad, or I don't know what for feeling. Sometimes you don't even know what kind of feeling. Sometimes they're feeling like, oh, like that, and you can't even name it because it's like mix or something. Can happen. It comes and goes for no reason. It comes and goes, and it's just energy. But we are so convinced we are in this body, and we are inside, and we have to take care, or it's our body. It seems like this is the border. This is me, and there's you, and that's so convincing, and everything seems so solid and real. And then there's also, when that's there's something missing. But the missing is not that there's something wrong. The missing is more like everything is just one. There's only one. There is not two. That's the misunderstanding, but that's not only in the head. It's just so embodied and normal. But there's just one. There's only this. That's what's happening, without any reason or name or story. It's just that. That's everything.
Yes. Yesterday, during the night, I was thinking about that. And it stopped, and there was a big feeling of sadness, and it was just an energy floating. It was not in my body, it was floating, and suddenly it stopped. And where, I don't know, and there was no feeling at all.
Yeah. Like that can happen. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's it. And we think we have to do it. We have to do something with it.
Yes.
Just comes and goes. Yeah.
That's true. It's come and goes. Yes. It doesn't stop if we make it with the story. If we enter, we continue to think about that and to make it real. But if
and sometimes it goes on, but you think it's because of that thinking, but it's not. It's not when the feeling can be there for some longer. It's not because of your keeping it and doing something. No, it's just staying some longer for no reason. And then we think, oh, that's what we do, so I shouldn't do that.
Yes.
It's another one.
It's interesting. Thank you. Yes. Yes, I thought I made a link between thinking and feeling.
Yeah. It's so, Yes.
And thinking and the me is the cause. Yes, I understand.
Yeah. When we are now in that non-duality thing, the me seems to be the cause of things, how things are going. So, I'm still in that me. So something like that. No, I'm not. That's another story that convinces that there's still a me happening and it's still not finished or things like that. That's that whole system. It's very, very intelligence, you could say. Like, there's a new story happening, because that's when there was a story about in the psychology then that can be, not especially you, but it can be that when there's non-duality, we're looking in the same way. So the same tools are used. So because sometimes it's I can remember it's just not heard what's said, because there's so many beliefs and concepts. It's not even heard what is said here. It can't. It doesn't matter. It's like that. It doesn't matter. But for me, like, when there's something going on, it feels like it matters, of course.
Some weeks ago, I asked Tony person about yes, but if someone eats too much sugar, it could have diabetes. And he said yes. So I interpret that a behavior like eating too much sugar could have a consequence on the body. So perhaps he didn't say that to me, and I interpret what he said because we used to do that for the body, the health, that you shouldn't eat too much sugar but it could happen, a sick body, but there's no cause to the health. There's no.
No, but there can be eating too much sugar and the body dies or gets sick, but it seems like it's you doing it. And that's the difference. There's no one doing that, so there's no choice.
Yes,
so we think, you have to do some less or things like that. It can happen, and it seems like that's our choice, or think that we are so into that.
So I realized it's why it's so careful. It's so there's fear to let go, or to. I feel when you said that my I don't want to, because I should have a control over that.
Yeah. What will happen if I don't control that? Because there's something going on. Maybe I eat sugar all day. Oh, I won't do it. Yeah. So yeah, sure. That's how we do it. We think that's how we are the boss. Yeah, great. Yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Rose.
Hi.
Hi. I noticed after when I spoke to you a few minutes ago, after you'd spoken to me, well, straight away I felt I didn't feel happy like Christiane. I felt kind of sort of sad, and I realized that I really do that when I was talking about true stories and lies and all this, that I have been, that's been a concern, try to find out what's the real truth, or try to find out, when everybody's saying one thing, and then I'm saying, well, maybe there's something else, and then you look, and so I've kind of replaced one story for another story, and you were taking both stories away from me. So and that's okay if that, but it was just you were taking. Maybe it was like when you were saying your previous what you were doing before, how you lost this ability to, you had some way of finding truth, and that was
that's the same story. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And I've just spent a lot of time thinking. I know that that all of that, whatever it is not the truth. There's something else going on. And I spent a lot, I have a lot of books about this, and people who research and say, not silly alternative
but
stories,
can be really sincere. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and but you're saying they're the same.
Not the same. It's also a story like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So unlike Christiane, who was happy with what you said, I felt something taken away.
Sure. But that doesn't feel good in that sense. No. Sure. No, I can hear that. Yeah,
but,
sure.
Because sometimes when you find an alternative perspective on a situation or something like that, and you think, now I feel better. This is more on firmer ground.
Yeah.
And but you're saying there's no firmer ground.
Yeah. That's something else. That's about loss, and that kind of feel like, sure.
Right.
But then there's sadness and sadness.
Yeah. No, I'm not making a big thing about it. I mean, everything comes and goes. It's just.
But sure, that's loss. Yeah, that's about loss, of course.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's not my profession to do this. It's something I did for for myself. But
yeah, it can be like that. Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Rose.
Hello.
So it seems, I was just sitting here thinking, so it seems as though it's the, whatever's happening is it. So it's, yeah. So even when there's story happening, feelings, you know, uncomfortable, whatever, thoughts, anything is simply what's happening. So I guess there's not even any it's just the simplest thing. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing wrong. There's no so like you and Tony and whoever else say, you know, like, this is it, like, and we don't even know what this is, right? We don't even know what this is. All there is a parent speaking out of a mouth, sensations, thinking, but you know, that's it.
Yeah, and it's very ordinary. It's just this waving or this, something like that. It's not a special feeling or a state or nothing special. And when there's a story, when there's somebody in the story, then it's so quickly, there's something happening, really. It's you can know this and being clear, and for a while it can be very much like that, and then suddenly there's happening somebody saying, I'm not loving you anymore, or there's pain, or there's something, then it's just the story again. It's just, of course, that it's an energetic thing. You can't be only clear that, you can be like that, but that's just superficial in a way. It can be nice, but it can also like to make things more comfortable for yourself, because you know, when you say, oh no, that's just what's happening, saying all the time. That's not what its message is, not saying that. It's something else.
Yeah.
So being clear can be also curse. Like, it can be so clear and still there's still something going on. And you can't say what it is, but there's a feeling or something like that. Or there's a distant maybe, or there's Most people have something else going on. I always felt there's always a distance. That was my like, how can I be in it? Something like that, something. So, but yeah, so you try, you do your best, and that's it. And it seems like there's something happening, but nothing is happening. It's going nowhere. That's strange. Yeah.
And even saying doing your best, that's a story, right?
That's a story,
because
yeah, sure.
There's no you to do your best.
No.
But it feels like, I mean, it certainly feels for me all the time that there's this person who's walking around and doing a job and feeding the cat, you know.
Now, the funny thing is, that's just what's happening. And on top of it, there's that belief, or that real body belief that you're doing it. That's just very thin.
Yeah.
So they're feeding the cat or not feeding the cat or walking around. That still happens, can happen. That's the apparent happening, but there on top of it, it's always like I'm doing it in, not that you say that all the time, but that's the feeling. Yeah. Right. But it doesn't matter. But it's awful to hear sometimes, because for yourself, when you're looking for something else, you think, yeah, but it does. Or you can't, you can say it doesn't matter, but it doesn't feel like that. It's not right. Yes, for some moments, but not. Then it comes back. Yeah.
So the it doesn't matter can be turned into a story.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure. That's people like saying that to yourself, and then there's something happening and they say, it's just what's happening. I think, come on, go away. It's awful. Something like that, or something else, but it's just life. That's a way of controlling something that makes it flat.
Right. And that's sort of trying to change it. If it's like, it's just what's happening. Right. It's like that's subtly, that's wanting to change it.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
that's
there's pain, but it's just what's happening. It's all
it's
fine.
Yeah. That's a very clever one. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Yeah. I did have pain, and it was also, it was a time ago, I was burning my fingers, and then there was such a pain. It was pain, and it wasn't there, so it was like, and then I wanted to go away from it, and I just walked away, and I thought, that doesn't work. So there's so many. It's just there. There's nothing going on like, it's not changing anything. There's no clue anymore. There's nothing going on to change it. And when there's someone, there's so many ways to try to change it, or very subtle or very strong, or kind of ways. Just to feel comfortable. It's so strong, that drive to feel comfortable or happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
that
thinking
urge can go away. That's
like
the strange thing.
I think sometimes, like at work, if I'm happy, like people will like me. I think there's that, just stay happy, stay upbeat, stay positive. And so I think there's such a pressure to be friendly and be kind and, just always just on,
Yeah. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Trying to be someone who can be liked. And it will never be only successful, because you have to go on and fail and go on. Oh man. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So when there's a noticing that you know, that I don't feel like talking to people, but, you know, they're around me anyway. It's like, there's a tension. It's just like, well, there's just a tension. There's just a not wanting to be around people. That's just what is, you know, but I mean, right. Cause that could be seen as like, oh, it's okay. Even though I'm hating it, just that's what is. And maybe it'll be okay.
No,
too.
but when there's someone, there will always be some trying to name it or to understand it or to deal with it, or that's that energetic thing, that when there's something going on, like I'm here and there's my life, there will always be that kind of trying.
Trying.
That's you can't go out of that. It's you can try what you want, but it's still trying or doing or thing. So
just right, there's just trying happening. That's that.
There's just that. We name it. Everything what's going on. We look at yourself and you think, oh, I'm still trying or something like that. But there's always a looking at yourself. That's the thing. That what there's happening there. It's just, I don't know, maybe a feeling or maybe some thoughts. That's just what's happening, apparently. But on top of it, it's like, oh, I'm still in that trying. That is going on. It's just can fall away. But there can be some patterns still there. The body is still, can be have some patterns, like behaving in a certain way or withdrawing or things like that. But it's not called like that anymore. It's not like, oh, because there's no one looking at it and seeing like, oh, what you're doing or things like that. That's not happening. But it doesn't, it's not a change of character immediately or something like that. No.
No. Right. So when there's this apparent me, there's always a looking at and a trying to change, and and there's nothing to do about that. There's just what is occurring.
No, you can't get out of it. But it's awful because there's also the trying. So it's good when they're hearing this, it's like, I can't get out of it. But there's still also that urge to get out of it. So it's like, and it can be very strong or more subtle. It doesn't, I don't know. And sometimes there's in these meetings, there's something going on, like, there's a threat also for that whole system. Sometimes it gets more stronger also to stay alive, you could say, in a way.
So you're saying, so still I'm noticing that, like, okay, but what can I do? You know, what can I do to not be that way? You know, there's still that. Okay, but wait, I want to be like you. I want to not have that. So then that's just what is like trying to be without the me.
When there's someone, there's always something that's not right yet.
I see.
That's the basic thing. And that's so normal that we don't even notice it, because we are already in that story, like, oh, I want to be like you, or because that's so many people have that. You don't even know what I am. You don't even know. Don't say it. Maybe you don't want it. No. But you fill it in, like what I am, what I'm feeling, what I'm doing. You don't know. You make something of it. Because it can't be you. It can't be the way that Susanna is looking and doing, and that can't be it. But I want to be like, maybe Rose. That Susanna, is it? That the way she's doing that's looking, or that everything. That's it, of course. It can't be different.
Right. Thank you. So you're saying that whatever is happening in this apparent character is it. So even trying and trying to get somewhere, all of it is it. There's nothing other than what is happening. So trying to be something else.
Yeah, but that trying to be something else is that name. That there's just happening. There's just that thing, and there's something on top of it. They're just thoughts, like, oh, I'm still trying. That's just a thought. But we are so into thoughts, and that's really true or something like that. It's just a thought. But oh, it can be so convincing and really draw you into that story, because there's somewhere that believe that there's something not right. So when those thoughts are there, that it's just like, oh yes, see, that's still happening or something like that.
Right.
But that's just there's just moving and thoughts coming and just
right. You know, I've put something on my bathroom mirror that you say a lot, or I've heard you say a lot. There's nothing wrong. So I put that on my bathroom mirror and I look at it all the time. I mean, obviously it's something like it's a story too, like, oh, just remember there's nothing wrong,
Yeah, sure. Sure.
But somehow, I don't know, it is a nice reminder of like the something wrong is made up. But anyway, I know that's a story because it's like I'm trying to be happier by remembering that there's nothing wrong,
because it's a circle. Because when you say to yourself, I have to remember there's nothing wrong, then there still is something wrong.
Yes.
It can be so intelligent, like, oh, this is the same story.
Right.
You can't get out of it.
Right. Okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah. You can't. This is a circle, and it goes until it doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's just what's happening, apparently.
Yeah, that's it. But we want to have hope. We want to have improvement. And then suddenly you hear, oh, it's a circle. Oh, nothing to do. Or that's something else. That's where this message is about. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Rose, I'm just wondering, I know this is just about a long time in the apparent future, but do you think maybe next summer you might have a residential, like over in Holland or something during the summer?
I never thought of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, it's about that COVID situation. Maybe in the summer that will be much more easy. So there will be maybe or a weekend or a residential. I will do that. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
because now it's in the winter, and then I didn't. Yeah, so I think it's just Dutch people are coming, but sure, that can be like that, and then would be nice.
I have summers off. I have a summer vacation, and so it would be really cool to go to Holland and do something over there. Yeah.
Okay.
I know it's a thought.
Yeah. I take it. I think about it.
Okay.
New York.
Ja.
Nou, die lopen toch?
Maybe Sean. I'm coming to New York, but we're not sure yet. Maybe in March, something like that. But for people who are living there over there. But
right.
definite.
Right. I'm in California, so a
Uh,
little far for me, but
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But Rose,
Yeah.
Rose,
Yeah.
yeah. So if you come in New York, will you do a meeting at the
Yeah.
New
Yeah.
York?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Ah,
That's for a meeting, for a weekend. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
okay,
We do
good,
2 days or
good.
3 days. Yeah. But I
Oh,
think
good.
it will be March because we were thinking about February, and then somebody said maybe that COVID is still there, so with traveling it will be difficult for us, maybe. So maybe
Okay.
we do it in March, but it's not yet definite. But we are busy with that. I love it. I did that once, 2 years ago, something. I love that. It's nice.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. Thanks.
Yeah.
So are you saying maybe over there in this apparent rose that maybe there isn't a sense of anything is wrong, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's
This
just
is,
what's arising, but there's no like, there's no censor of like, this is wrong or this could be better, or is that kind of what you're saying?
it doesn't arise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing anything for that or so. It
Yeah,
just doesn't arise. And
I
it's
see.
very easy. It's very easy. And it's so like, oh, I always knew, but somewhere in the background, of course. And it's like childlikeness. It's just like children. It's just, of course, why should it be wrong?
Yeah.
It's so normal that something is wrong, but what do you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
It's just like that. It can be irritating when like somebody's behaving in a way. Come on, or something like, and then, but that's it. There's nothing with that, or no
Yeah.
agenda, or something like you have to change. It can be irritation, but it's not like, so you have to change or something. No.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just that.
Right.
Yeah. But it's just by
Right.
itself.
I think there's so
I'm
much.
not saying something about it, or no.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's so much here of like, censoring how I'm being. Oh, I shouldn't have gotten irritated.
Yeah,
Oh, I shouldn't be withdrawing from my colleagues.
Yeah,
I should be friendly all the time. And it's like,
there's so many
right.
things.
So there's,
yeah. That's that looking at yourself and that awareness of it. That's part of that whole system. Like, oh, constant looking, like, oh, and judging in a way.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not doing it right. I've got
to but that's
better at being
both
me.
sides. Yeah, because there's a deep feeling of there's something wrong, and then there's with the awareness, it's always trying to make it right. You can't see it that it's right. It's just always something. It's amazing how strong that can be, and it's not in the head. It's just normal or something. It is so crazy. It's not even noticed. It's so normal.
Yeah.
Can be so, you can say anything you like, but still it's still subtle going on. That's the energetic part. You can know everything, but it's energetic. It's so in the body or somewhere.
Yeah. And it's a part of being an individual, right? That feeling of separation. Right. That I've got to be better, that I've got to, that I'm alone and I've got to, impact my surroundings and everyone around me and control and have everyone like me, because there's a feeling that I'm a different individual and that I can impact things, right? Which,
And you feel alone. Maybe you feel alone, so other people are important, or you feel you have always a fear. So it is different, can be different also, and that makes that survival system also different. But there's always something going on, like it's not right, or there's something. And there are a lot of survival systems that are in the body or active.
Right.
Yeah.
God, it's amazing we make it through this life at all, because, it's so
amazing.
It can be it's so frightening. And like, we walk around in a straitjacket kind of like, I don't know.
But the funny thing is, you don't also, because there's no one. It's just that body is just, there's maybe tension or something else. And that whole thing, that whole dream that we're living in, like there's looking at yourself and the stories and what a whole dream, so important, and busy with that all day in a way. And it just vanished.
Right.
And it was everything. It was my life. It was just, and it's just, oh, what now? But it's just the same, but without that, that seemed so important, that control, and then, and sometimes it's parts of that just beliefs are falling away, like, how could I believe that? It's just very thin. It is not there all day, because a lot of times it's just not there. It's just biking or cooking or just going on. And then suddenly, it seems like very strong because we are so believing it and into it and that. But it's just, and it's gone also. There are just a lot of problems, what's going on, and then suddenly you're making some tea. It's just gone. It's just not there. It's not even noticed, but it seems like all day. It isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you're saying all of this sort of neurosis and stuff, it really is just an appearance. It's felt and it's just an appearance. It isn't real.
It's a dream. It's more a dream. The appearance part is more like, everything what is apparently happening, like moving the hand, or it's the practical, go shopping or things like that. And there's a lot of things going on, like, this is because of that I did, what did I do? That's a lot of thoughting can happen. Yeah.
Right.
And the meaning, there's always meaning. Everything has a meaning.
Sure. God, it's exhausting, right? Isn't it?
Meaning is exhausting, yeah. No meaning is also exhausting. Just think, my life has no meaning. Can also be like something.
But then if there's a realization or whatever that there is no meaning, and that's fine, you're saying that's still a story.
Yeah.
That there's no meaning. Somehow the me is saying, don't worry, there's no meaning, and it's cool.
Yeah, but some beliefs or some concepts can fall away, and then suddenly it's like, it's like that. That can happen. So it's not always a story like behaving in a certain way or survival system. There can some concepts that we are very strong about meaning of things, and that can suddenly fall away. I had that. So I couldn't see the meaning of things. So I was sitting on my couch and didn't know what to do, or just didn't seem important anymore. But still there was somebody looking for something at that time.
Yeah. Yeah, I find it very comforting whenever there is a thought or whatever it is that there's no meaning. It's like, thank God, I don't have to try so hard because nothing means anything anyway. It's made up. So I find that a very comforting thought.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people are like, that's nihilism, you know? Like, what do you mean
Yeah.
there's no meaning? They get
People
very
say
threatened.
that to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nihilism is that everything feels, for me, I think, what I think about it, is that everything is flat, becomes flat. And that's more like when you say to yourself, oh, nothing has any meaning, or nothing is going on. Then that's flat. That's nihilism, I think, for me.
Yeah.
So but when I'm saying that, it's not that I'm saying that to myself, like, oh, nothing has any meaning. That's something else. It's just, it's just like that.
Yeah.
So that's something else.
Right. Yeah. It's an energetic felt sense, it sounds like. That.
Yeah, it's just obvious. It's just obvious, but it's not like in the head all the time. It's not in the head. It's just, Yeah,
of course there's no meaning.
It's difficult to express. Yeah, it's of course, but it's not said to myself or to others.
Right.
It's not talking about meaning. I never talk about meaning. It's just like that. So then there's living in that. How can you say that? It's so difficult to say how it is. It's like, I don't know how to say it. It's just no meaning. But no, you can't. That's the difficulty. You think, oh, I understand. So I say it to myself, and that's something else. That's still something else. There's still some doing in that.
Yeah.
You can't say how it is. That's strange because we're so used to look at it and name it and thinking, oh, what I'm feeling is that, and what I wanted to say to you is that, and what is going on here, and what I'm trying. And when that's talking about this, how can you say it? It's just that you don't say to yourself, oh, there's no meaning. Or you say to yourself, oh, there's no me. Or everything is just it. That's not saying that. It's just, and that's silent. How can you talk about it? Because it's just one. There's just one. So you can't say how it is. You can only talk around and talk about concepts, but more to make it clear, maybe clear or things like that. But saying how it is, that's impossible. But it doesn't need to be, because it's just it, and it's the most simple thing. You don't have to have you never have homework. There's no need for looking at yourself or trying to be better. And when there's trying to be better, that's what's happening too. And you don't need to say to it. And when there's saying to yourself, oh, I don't need to say that, that's just also what happens. So it can't be wrong. It can't be wrong. It's everything. It's just all those extra words. And then that's what life is. So that it can't be wrong. That's the amazing part of this message. It's just everything. There's nothing is excluded. We are so used that there's something excluded. I feel excluded. I feel outside. I feel alone. I feel, not loved, or I have to do something about that. And then there's something going on, hearing like, oh, but it's all included. It's already all included. It's just that what is happening, like the way the talking happens, the way the thoughts are happening, and maybe in circles. That's what you make of it, of course, but it's just happening. And it's just also apparent. So everything is just apparent. It's real and unreal in the same time. And you don't need to see that, because then you can go about, oh, I don't see that. It's not real. It doesn't matter. That's what's happening. When it's seen like everything is solid and real and very important, then that's it. It can't be something wrong. It's just life happening. There's no one. It's just empty. Everything is just empty. There's nothing inside. that's what's made of it. It's just empty, and there's no one doing things. So it's just life happening, energetic happening, and energy happening, could say. That's it. How can energy be wrong? It's just like that, and that's it. And there can be thoughts saying, oh yeah, but, and that's the same energy in that thoughts. So it can't be wrong. It's just unconditional. That's what I call it unconditional love. It's not the love we normally like persons, like personal love, but it's unconditional love because there's nowhere to go. It's just everything. And it's pointless, without any meaning. It's just everything. It's just what it is. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Wow.
Thank you. Thank